You noticed, if you paid attention to the State of the Union message last week, the president really made a strong point about prescription drug prices and the need for them to be brought under control. And he made the point also that a lot of countries have the exact same treatments, drugs made in the exact same place, in the president's words, and those folks in those countries pay less than we do. And we're joined for a few minutes by health industry strategist Seth Denson from GDP Advisors. Seth, good morning. Good to have you on.
Hey, good morning, Gary. Thanks for having me.
What do you make of what the president said? Number one, is he right? And number two, what can be done about it?
Well, he's right, no question. The health insurance and health care industry in the United States is more expensive than anywhere else in the developed world, and that in large part is because of our free market system, and I'm a free market capitalist, so I can appreciate that. The challenge that we have in the United States, though, is that we develop here, and the rest of the world has moved to socialized medicine because it has the ability to do so because we are a free market system. We continue to develop new drugs, new technologies, and so our citizens pay for the development of health care while the rest of the world gets to freeload off of it.
That is a very pertinent point. However, there are prices that we hear about for some drugs, Seth, that it boggles the mind. If you don't have insurance, number one. Number two, if you don't have decent insurance, you can't even begin to get that treatment. There's something wrong there. And is there a balance? Let me ask you that. Is there a balance between what they're charging now that is prohibitive for many people and what might be brought into play?
There needs to be a balance. And that's what the president is pushing for. The issue that the president has at this point, though, is he's done about all he can through executive order. He really needs Congress to step up. And so when you talk about the balance here, there's a couple of pieces that are always the underlying factors that a lot of people don't recognize. And that is, for one, and don't get me wrong, I'm not defending drug manufacturers, but it does take on average about $2 billion to bring a new drug to market. And so if I'm investing that kind of money, I need that return on that investment. In addition, it takes about 12 years. So if the government wants to get serious about bringing down the cost of prescription drugs, it needs to get serious about restructuring how it regulates the development of drugs in the United States from a patent perspective and from an FDA approval perspective. That would be a huge step to bring down costs because at the end of the day, drug manufacturers are wanting to get their money back on that investment. Now, once they have, this is where the drug manufacturer goes into overdrive and refiles patents to keep competition out of market. And this is a real challenge we have in the United States because the Justice Department continues to offer up and the Trade Commission offer up additional extensions in these patents, and it needs to stop doing that so we can get more competition. And then finally, we need transparency in the system. The way that the pharmaceutical industry and the wholesalers behind it called pharmacy benefit managers operate is massively non-transparent, and we, the consumers, are ultimately paying for that.
Wow. So you talk about the regulatory piece, which is huge. There's also a balance that needs to be found there, too, right? Because you don't want an unsafe product brought to market. Is the FDA, in your view, in general, too restrictive?
Yes, I think it is in a couple of different ways, one of which is that they don't allow, the FDA in the United States currently does not allow any foreign testing to be entered into the United States for purposes of cutting through that red tape. For example, if a drug is generated in the United Kingdom, for example, that research and development that happens over there cannot come here. In the United States, a drug manufacturer would have to start over from scratch and not use any of that research and development.
Well, that's just wrong. That should be something that could be easily fixed, I would think.
I agree, and these are some of the things that when we look at it, we go, well, wait a minute, I'm scratching my head going, this doesn't make sense. We're all about free trade. This is one of those areas where free trade could operate very well in the United States. Political
will is very important, obviously, in the Congress on an issue like this, and that's hard to find. Seth, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me
for the
on.
info. I appreciate it very much. Seth Denson, GDP Advisor.